What is up, everybody? Welcome to it. It's crunch time. You know the drill. Late edition here. Small slate, little four gamer, but still joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got Tasteful Tides, Tim in the house. What up, man? They're calling you
getting
Tasteful
harassed
Tides,
so
Lonnie.
badly. Yes, I'm getting harassed so badly by the chat right now. Unbelievable. I played him also. I missed my 6 last night. I apologize. My bad, guys. My bad.
I mean, it wasn't a you thing. You weren't the only person who was like, you were not alone, right? It wasn't like
I was definitely not alone.
Plant. Yeah.
Right.
Everybody says they forgive you. It's okay. You are forgiven. They love you. Why is my daughter just busting in? Late show. There's going to be kids running in and out. Not much I can do about it. We got my guy Keith Eister, aka the Iceman, in the house as well. What up, Ice?
Not much. Much smaller slate today. I was also bitten by Lonnie Walker yesterday. I was also way underweight on Sasser, and he finally did something as well. So rough night for me as well. But a 4-gamer tonight, and we got MLB right around the corner too. So really looking forward to that, of course.
Very nice.
Kevin is so excited for MLB. You are so excited.
I'm so honestly, when you said that, my eyes started twitching, and I'm not even kidding. We were just talking about beforehand how there's going to be multiple crunch times per day someday. It's just like it's all going to be insane. But we will have you covered for any game, any slate. We'll have some content for you, no doubt about it. Let's go ahead and kind of dive into this slate. It's 4 games. I don't know if there's much we're waiting on, but I think Luka is one of those things, Tim.
Yeah, so Luka's really this hanging piece that we don't really know what to do about. He's an island game at 10 o'clock. Very, very hard to know what to do. I will say this, though. If you're making multiple teams tonight, take advantage of that late game, because I don't know if we can play Luka, honestly, in cash games, because you're going to have to make like a 2v2 or a 3v3 in your cash build. And there's a lot of guys in the mid-range right now that I like quite a bit. So I don't have a lean either way if he plays or not. I know this game is important, though. So if it's a real injury, I don't know. He's not going to sit for no reason. But I really don't have...
If he's out, you can just pretty easily go to Kyrie. Like a 2v2 should be pretty easy to set up, right?
Yeah, that's true. But what my problem is if Luka plays, is he too expensive? Because there are so many good plays in the mid range.
I see.
That's kind of my issue.
I got
Obviously, you're right. Like if he sits, then we have tons of really great Dallas value, which you should be taking advantage of in GPP. But for cash, it's a lot harder to make that call. So, because I think Luka's kind of too expensive, and we have this absolutely loaded mid-range. We also have AD with no LeBron. We have Giannis on this slate. We've got the Heat guys that with no Jimmy Butler. So there's just tons of really good plays.
And yet you worry
play cash games.
But yet you worry that those good plays will be eclipsed if Luka sits, and then you don't have spots to get in the Kyries and those guys. That's the issue.
Correct. So, my lean right now in straight up cash games is to not play Luka. It's not, just play, other guys that are like really, really strong plays. But in single entry 3 max, you're making 20 max or whatever, I would definitely take advantage of that Dallas Sacramento game, because there are plenty of strong plays, including Luka, and strong plays on the Sacramento side as well.
Okay. Interesting note. Ice, can I just ask you how you're going to play Luka, and then we'll get into a build after that?
Yeah. So generally in these types of situations, I would start with the questionable star, who is Luka, and then a cheaper piece, and then you can pivot that down to Kyrie, and then up to somebody who gets into a better spot, like a Tim Hardaway. I think I'm playing this one where I'm building more in the mid range. With the hopes that guys like Dante Exum and Tim Hardaway come into play, and then I can get up to Kyrie. So basically, I'm not starting with any Luka at all, and I'm probably not going to get to any. But just stacking that game up, first of all, so having at least 2 pieces preferably 3 or 4, and loading up in the mid range. Guys like Daniel Gafford, Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, I think is playable. PJ Washington's uncomfortable, but he's playable. If you play 2 of those guys, you have about 13K on FanDuel. And if Luka gets ruled out, you can get to Kyrie at 9,500 and go down to like a Dante Exum at 4,100. And you may need to make sure that you have a couple extra hundred there just to make sure the salary works out. But getting into situations like that where I can still take advantage of the news, but I'm still hoping that if Luka plays, he doesn't burn me, because we all know he can do that.
Sure. Oh, yeah, he shouldn't. I mean, he can do it. I see. Because you're not. I get you. And then you have Exum in your lineup, which also is a little terrifying, right? Like, you don't feel great about that, do you?
I mean, without Luka, I think you feel pretty good about it. Hardaway's right there. You hate Dante Exum, man.
It's not my favorite play.
Last time you mushed him, he went off for like 2 weeks straight. So keep talking about Dante Exum.
That's so true. All right, we want to walk you through a FanDuel cash build. We do have to point out in the chat saying congrats to TJ, our guy. TJ, the greatest DFS mind in all of Saskatoon, Canada, just had a baby. I think today, maybe last night. But either way, kudos, congrats to TJ joining the dad club. That is awesome. Thrilled for him. And I saw someone said, my money is on Vegeta as a name, which is a Dragon Ball Z reference. Hilarious. Good stuff. It's not, by the way, that's not the name. It's a normal name. But with all that aside, let's dive into the slate. Tim, why don't you walk me through your build as it stands now, knowing that maybe we're getting a curveball later. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be leaning heavily into this Lakers team with no LeBron. So I'm starting off my cash game build on both FanDuel and DK with D'Angelo Russell. Projected to play 36 minutes. He's 7,500 on FanDuel. He's point guard, shooting guard, so you could play him in either spot. I think he's an absolute cash game must. And then, for your second point guard spot, it gets a little bit trickier because, like, you could play Terry Rozier. Again, higher usage rate with no Butler on the court. You could go Dame. I think Dame's a little bit too expensive. I'd probably just get up to De'Aaron Fox if I was going to go that high. Another guy I really love tonight is CJ McCollum. So I might go Russell, McCollum, and they're both point guard, shooting guard. So that kind of leaves you that flexibility. Also, again, I talked about this mid-range quite a bit. So I think right now I'm leaning Russell and McCollum in some capacity in my cash game. And then shooting guard, again, it's guys like Austin Reeves for the Lakers, going to play really, really big minutes, 7,400. Shooting guard, small forward, really, really strong cash game play, in my opinion. You could play Malik Monk, but I think I would save him for like single entry or GPPs. I can't play Kyrie at 9,500 unless you're just like preparing to do some kind of like late swap with Luka or something like that. But I'm certainly not going to start off with Kyrie. I think Chris Middleton is pretty interesting. 7,300. Going to play around 30 minutes tonight. I think he's a viable cash game option as well. And then going over to the forward spot, Jaime Jaquez. We don't have that news yet, I don't think, but Jaquez and Martin are still questionable. I don't know. I'm sure we'll get that news before the show ends, but if he does play, he's a cash game must at small forward only. Caleb Martin is definitely cash game viable. He's small forward, power forward option eligible. So those two Heat guys, I really like Rui tonight at 5,400. Again, another one of those Lakers players. So those three would be like my in my small forward pool. Power forward.
Let me stop you real quick on small forward, if it's okay. First, because the chat is an echo chamber of people asking about Wiggins. Any interest in Wiggins in cash, as 92 people have asked?
Yeah, so 5,300. The problem, I don't hate it. The problem is he's the same price as Jaquez and Martin, who I like a lot more. So absolutely fine with that as a pivot in tournaments. Not a cash game play as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just talking. Yeah.
Yeah, the second thing you mentioned is that Jaquez and Caleb Martin both have the Q tag. If
Yep.
one or both are out, does it give a bump to the other? And maybe more importantly, is there another dude who slides in here? You're like, okay, now we've got some legit value because those guys play minutes.
Oh, they play big. They're projected to play big minutes. Yeah, if one is out, the other one would probably get a pretty significant bump. If both are out, I would say Haywood Highsmith would get a huge bump. Jovic also would get a pretty big bump. Who else, Keith? I mean, Highsmith and Jovic, right?
Yeah, I think Highsmith is definitely the biggest beneficiary. Jovic
Yeah.
he'd have more secure minutes. Like he's the guy who they'll sometimes run out there for only like 20 minutes, but we haven't projected for 25. I think that would be really secure. I don't think we'd go up all that much on the projection, maybe 26 to 28, but a small bump for Jovic. I think either DeLon Wright or Patty Mills could also see a slight uptick in their minutes projection. Neither of those are comfortable names, but they are both cheap.
Okay.
I mean, Highsmith isn't really comfortable either, to be fair.
Okay, fair enough. Tim, you can bounce it back to power forward now. Sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's a good question. Yeah, so power forward. You've got obviously Anthony Davis. He's my kind of like top spend up option on the slate. No AD. There's also Sabonis at 10-9, who I think is a really, really strong play. Zion Williamson, you've got Giannis, you've got all these really, really good power forward options on the slate. So any of those four guys, you can probably only play one. I'd go AD. If you can't afford it, go to Sabonis, and then you can use Caleb Martin as your cheapie or Rui as your cheapie at power forward. And then center, it's pretty much the same thing, except for we add Bam to the equation at 8,400. Who I think is your top cash game center. I think Chet Holmgren is a really, really strong pivot for single entries over Bam. And then, obviously Sabonis and Davis too, if you don't play them at power forward.
Yeah. Okay. I assume everybody's playing AD. So tournament wise, is that how you're getting different, or are you just eating that? Because that's good chalk, and at least in my mind.
Yeah, it's good chalk with LeBron out. AD is an absolute smash, but for only 4 games, we have an absolute ton of studs that look and studs in really good matchups as well. And without their counterpart stars as well, like Zion without Brandon Ingram. I absolutely love Zion Williamson in tournaments. The matchup against OKC is a pace up spot. OKC is solid defensively, but I mean, good up tempo game. I think Zion could definitely go off here. SGA has a tough matchup against the Pelicans, but I mean, he's SGA. He can do it in any game. You have De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, who are going to be much lower owned. We know that either of them can find a ceiling, like that matchup against Dallas. The other thing is, of the 4 games, they're all like pretty close spreads. The Lakers and Bucks is a little bit wider, but like we've had a ton of like double-digit spreads here recently. A lot of these games have close spreads. So my main thing is focusing on game stacks. I think it's a more viable strategy anyway. When we have shorter slates, you want to find the game that stays competitive. Maybe if you hit the nuts and it goes into overtime, then you're way ahead of the field. So game stacks are more viable on shorter slates. So I'm definitely making sure to do a ton of that. But yeah, definitely differentiating at the top range, like Giannis, AD, Luka, SGA, Sabonis, Fox, Kyrie, Zion, even Lillard and Curry, and Bam without Jimmy. Like any of those guys could go for like 60 plus fantasy points. That's a totally loaded top end range. So definitely mixing and matching.
Makes sense. Can you walk me through FanDuel tournament build, maybe just some of your favorite plays at each position?
Yep, let's do it. All right. So starting at point guard here, Fox is a guy I feel like it just isn't like people don't love to play him, but he's shown off a ceiling quite a bit this season. Had a rough stretch there for a while, but he's back into putting up like 50 fantasy points a night or every other night. So I like Fox. He's expensive, but that keeps the ownership in check. SGA is a guy that I mentioned. Tough matchup. He's expensive, but I would want some exposure if I was making at least like probably 5 or 6 lineups before I get to him. But if you're making like 10 lineups, I would definitely have a share of SGA. And then nobody's playing Steph, and it's a tough matchup against Miami. I get that, but I mean, he's down to 8,500. He can absolutely go nuts at that price. So I like him a good amount to save some money at the position. Waiting on that Heat news, I mentioned Patty Mills and DeLon Wright as potential values here if we get more Heat news. Jose Alvarado is the guy I like right now. We've seen him play bigger minutes without Brandon Ingram. I mentioned the pace-up game against Oklahoma City, so I think he's a good look here to save money at point guard. Bringing in some shooting guards here. Malik Monk is one of my favorite tournament plays on the entire slate. He's just a guy who can get hot in a game, and they'll run him out there for 30 plus minutes if he's shooting well and playing well. So Monk has a real ceiling that I don't mind chasing at all at 6,700. And guys are the chalk, and they're both really good chalk. D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves. Russell would be my preferred option of the two. Another guy who's just been finding a ceiling a lot more than we kind of expected, and that's been playing with LeBron in as well. So his ceiling is definitely elevated tonight. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Well, no, it's Dinwiddie is starting over Prince for the Lakers.
Okay.
So
let's see. They did that yesterday, right?
It's not huge news, but we did have Prince projected to start, and now it's Dinwiddie is starting. Pretty cheap.
We already had Dinwiddie for 31 minutes. I'm guessing that's going to go up to about 34 minutes now. He played 35 yesterday. Yeah, I mean, he looks like a pretty strong play now, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's 52. I thought he was a little lower than 52. We'll see what the projection looks like. Probably prefer Alvarado, and like if we get the Heat news, I think I'd prefer the Heat guys, but Dinwiddie absolutely play now.
Both Hawkes and Martin are in.
Okay. So no additional Heat value.
Okay.
But that's all right. There's still plenty of stuff to do. I think I left off at shooting guard. Yeah, I was talking about Malik Monk. Herbert Jones is another guy that I really like, especially on FanDuel. He can really rack up the steals, which give you an extra point here on FanDuel. So I think he's a great play. Keon Ellis's price has come up, but I don't hate taking some shots on him on a short slate. Another guy who has racked up a ton of stocks here since he's jumped into the starting lineup. Podziemski is a low-owned tournament option as well. I think he has a bit of a ceiling. Don't love the matchup against Miami, but just as a way to get different, I don't mind some pods. Moving on to some forwards. Let's see here. So AD is the chalk. Think he's good chalk. Going to have trouble getting overweight because one of the ways I'm differentiating is just spreading out the stars. Zion is my favorite guy to go well over the field on. I think Kuminga is another guy that has ceiling in this matchup against Miami. I mentioned Keegan Murray as a guy I'm playing just to get some exposure to that late game. Rui Hachimura in a good spot with no LeBron. Draymond is fine as well. At the center position, Bam without Jimmy is a fantastic play. Love Tim's call on Chet Holmgren. It looks like a really low-owned option here, and love that as a way to differentiate. Another guy that has a ceiling. Larry Nance on the other side is a guy that I like to save some money as well. I prefer him over Valanciunas. I know Valanciunas is like better per minute. They're just not playing Valanciunas here recently. So I feel like Nance's minutes are more secure. He's a little bit cheaper. I just think he has a safer floor, and I don't see Valanciunas like running into 30 minutes in this spot, and even 26 minutes in this spot. So give me Larry Nance over Valanciunas, and PJ Washington, the other guy from the late game that I mentioned, just to get a little bit of exposure. Gafford is a guy I was on yesterday, and the price continues to go up, but I'm just going to keep playing this guy because he keeps on smashing. So Daniel Gafford in tournaments for sure.
Okay, very nice. That just about does it here for FanDuel. Let's kick it over to DK. Hit a little promo read here. Best time ever to sign up for RotoGrinders Premium. There's so much going on: NBA, PGA, NCAA, NHL, MMA, MLB. Like not quite tomorrow, but on Thursday. Get yourself a 6-month combo subscription. Exclusive price $469.99. That is a savings of $250, people. Instead of buying 6 individual months of combo premium, you can also get the combo test run with 3-day pass. That's $19.99. And then when you do awesome with that, you'll be like, oh yeah, I should sign up for the whole shebang. So make sure you're checking that out. We got all kinds of content for all kinds of sports in this very, very busy time of year. Tim, let's talk some DK, man. What do you got?
Yeah, so at point guard, not that much different. D'Angelo Russell at 7,200 is going to be my first point guard in. We do have that Dinwiddie news. He's 4,600 on DraftKings, projected to play over 31 minutes now, I would assume. He's point guard, shooting guard. Again, I just love this Lakers team tonight. So I think he is absolutely cash game viable. Same thing with Austin Reeves. He's also point guard, shooting guard. So it's like, do I pay up for Austin Reeves or pay down for Dinwiddie? Right now, I'd say I would lean to pay down for Dinwiddie, but it really depends on your other decisions that you make with your team. I think Terry Rozier is certainly in play also for cash games, and CJ McCollum. All these guys, like right in that 7K range, are really, really strong plays tonight. So, like, I really think you should just stay kind of in that range for your guards, and then maybe punt with Dinwiddie at shooting guard. So it's a really, really strong price point. Same thing basically goes for shooting guard. Projection systems kind of like Patty Mills tonight. I don't want to recommend that. I'm not going to recommend that for cash. I think that's fine for tournaments, but I'm not playing Patty Mills. I don't know. I mean, like, he would be the guy that you play if you want really, really, really want to like double stud tonight. But I just love that 7K range so much. I'm not going to play Patty Mills. Malik Monk, 6,500, probably a better single entry play than cash. Klay Thompson is going to be starting over Podziemski tonight. So a little bit of a bump for Klay. Again, probably a better single entry GPP play. And then Spencer Dinwiddie is I think the correct play at shooting guard for 4,600 in cash. And then small forward, it's definitely Jaime Jaquez. It's not even close for cash. I don't know. Chris Middleton, 6,700. I think Najee Marshall is interesting for tournaments, but I would definitely not play him in cash games. I think Trey Murphy is another one. That Pelicans Thunder game is very, very interesting because it's an amazing pace up spot for the Pelicans, but the Thunder are also really good defensively. So it's kind of a tough situation. But I think that they're really, really good plays for GPPs. Power forward, I'm playing Anthony Davis. I think everyone should play Anthony Davis in cash games. Zion and Giannis would be your pivots. And then Caleb Martin would be an interesting pivot away from maybe Jaquez in tournaments in the cheap salary. And then Jovic also would be another good pivot in the cheap price range. And then center, I think it's Bam for cash, same as FanDuel. And then Sabonis, if you have the money, you could play Sabonis at center, but I think Bam is the correct play in cash games. And then I think that really be it for me at center.
Okay, fair enough. Ice, I realize it's probably very similar to everything you said on FanDuel, but we do have 21 minutes to kill, so feel free to really expound upon your thoughts here.
Yeah, so at the point guard position, with this Dinwiddie starting, I think it is very interesting. It's going to bring down the ownership on Patty Mills and DeLon Wright a little bit, I think. He's a little more expensive, but still a really solid value. So I'm torn on what I was pretty solidly underweight on both of those guys, Wright and Mills for Miami coming into this. But now that Dinwiddie's going to move some of that ownership, I think I might grab a little bit more. I think I feel better about Wright coming off the bench. Just should have more usage than playing next to like Bam and Jaquez. So I think I'm going to grab a little bit more DeLon Wright. And then just in general, Dinwiddie in the mid 4Ks, I think there's two really strong pivots actually off of him. Alvarado, that ownership should come down on him. I think this is a fantastic spot for him. I think he could play upper 20s minutes, even if it's going well for him. And then Keon Ellis is the other guy I mentioned over on FanDuel. He's shown off a real ceiling because of his ability to get stocks. So Keon Ellis is an excellent pivot away from Dinwiddie as well. I'll go through the other positions and see if there's anything else major jumping out. But all the names I'm playing are basically the same. Malik Monk still one of my favorite tournament plays. Pods is a guy that I mentioned as a way to get different. Let's see here. That's all I'm seeing at shooting guard. Onto small forward. Let's see. Yeah, nothing really different. Taurean Prince is maybe interesting. Even though he's not starting now, I still think he'll play mid-20s minutes. He's not a huge per-minute guy, but another cheap guy that you can look to differentiate on a small slate. Not a comfortable play, but good differentiator. Draymond is interesting for tournaments. I think he could find a ceiling here, even though he's got Bam on the other side. Jalen Williams is a guy I love in tournaments as well. Dude's just good, puts up production. Like it's not a game that a lot of people are targeting, I feel like, outside of Zion. But it's one that I want to be over the field on most of the guys there. Jalen Williams, one of my favorite ways to do that. Wiggins is interesting for tournaments, not a comfortable play. Just not somebody I would play on a full slate, but 4 games to work with. That's what we're dealing with today. And then at center, again, I'll probably end up right at the field on AD. Bam is a guy that I like to be a little bit overweight on. Chet Holmgren, overweight. Gafford, overweight. And then Larry Nance, the cheapie, again, same as FanDuel here, that I really like.
Okay, very good. Favorite value on the whole slate, Ice?
Favorite value on the whole slate might be Keon Ellis. And it could go very poorly, but it could go it could go very well.
Okay, nice. Tim, you got a different answer? Your favorite value on the slate?
I mean, I think it's Dinwiddie.
Okay. Shout out to Oscar in the chat, who is just like, he's like, why are you recommending Jaime Jaquez? He's out. It's so dumb. And then he was pointed out by everyone that he's in. And then the guy just goes, K. Not like, oh, my bad. That's my bad. Sorry to be an ass. He just goes, K. Oh, buddy. All right. Hey, we've got about 16 minutes here until lock. We're going to take some QQs. It might go to lock. It might not. We do have, what do we have going on? MMA
golf,
show?
I think.
PGA?
Golf.
Yeah. We have
the
golf show.
Yeah, we got a golf show coming on after this. So whether or not we make it to lock, do know that at 7:30 we do have a little golf content coming your way. Let's dive into the QQs. As always, I am starting with the RG Discord because that's where the cool kids hang out. They do. What do we got? FanDuel single entry from Bluff. 3v3, Ice, Alvarado, Hachimura, and Zion, or McCollum, Dinwiddie, and Keegan Murray.
Both are good. I prefer the first one.
Okay, nice. More questions in the YouTube than in the Discord today, so I'm going over there. Okay, we're going to start with Eric Johnson, who says, is Wiggins owned at all? Is he owned at all? We've said his name a bunch, but I don't know what his ownership is.
No, he's under 10% here on DraftKings where I'm looking. I'll check FanDuel real quick. Yeah, I mean, that's really low on a 4-game slate.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I lost my FanDuel ownership, so I got to do a refresh to get that.
Oh, you're good. Don't worry about it. Let's go to J3's question. Do you think 11 hundo is too much to leave on the table in single entry tonight? He says, I just love the build. I love the build.
I think if you love it, leave it.
Ice.
Yeah, 1100 feels a little much, but I mean, it's a small slate. Anything could happen. I'd probably want to be in like the 600, 500 range, but yeah, I mean, go for it.
If you love it, you love it.
You're probably not going to get duped. I will, exactly. It is a way to differentiate on a small slate, and it's sometimes hard to do that, especially in NBA on small slates.
Yeah. We'll go to AD and DK single entry. Tim, I'm going to bring you in for this one. I'm landing on D'Lo, AD, and Reeves as my last spots in DK single entry. Oh, I see. Can you play all of them together? AD, D'Lo, and Reeves.
That's tough. Honestly, I think I'd play 2.
And probably not D'Lo and Reeves.
It's got to be. I think you have to play Russell.
Oh.
So. I don't know. It's close. I'm not seeing a lot of 3 Laker teams in Sims right now, so I think 2 is the answer.
Okay. Ice, do you have a different take?
What was the question? Sorry.
Sorry. It was D'Lo, AD, and Reeves together. Is that doing too much?
It feels a little too much. I think I would prefer it to be 2 of those 3.
Okay. Naja Boy says, is Luka a good play in DK single entry GPP? He is if he plays, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Damien says, DK single entry, Ice, Middleton, Dinwiddie, or Rozier and Barnes?
Never Harry Barnes. Give me the first one.
I like that. Thomas says, I'm getting an uncomfortable amount of Dante Exum tonight. Do you have more than 0%? Because if so, you have an uncomfortable amount of that freaking dude. What is your exposure to him, assuming Luka is out? Like, where do you want to be, Ice, on the field there with his ownership?
I'd want to be over the field for sure on Exum if Luka is out. I don't know that he'll get all that high. I just don't feel like people think Luka's actually sitting. We'll see what his ownership looks like, like that, playing some of the cheaper stuff like Keon Ellis, for example. Keon Ellis could really easily turn into Dante Exum if I want him to, if Luka gets ruled out.
Can you play Exum if Luka's in?
No. Yeah, I don't think so.
All right. Any Cam Reddish on FanDuel? Tim, I'll bring you in here. Is Cam Reddish, would he make your tournament build?
He would not. I'd have to be building like 150 to put him in like 2,
Okay. What else do we have? THJ and a DK GPP at 4,400. We gotta love that. Especially if Luka's out, obviously.
Yeah.
Is that again like can't do it if he's in? 4,400 is cheap for THJ.
He doesn't play minutes anymore with PJ Washington there now. He's kind of taken his role, so he's playing like 20 minutes a night is all when they're fully healthy. So it's similar to the Exum play. I don't think you can play him unless Luka is out. If Luka's out, obviously he's one of the best plays on the slate. But
okay. We'll go to ENF FanDuel cash question. Tim, Patty Mills or DeLon Wright?
I think it's Mills. Yeah, I guess I'd go Mills.
Okay. George says, with TJD out, is Looney a good value? Tim?
He's showing up in a lot of sims that I ran just now. So he's min price. He should be playing the backup center minutes. So I think he is okay. Yes.
Okay. Tim, right back to you here. We got another question for you. Your favorite game to stack in? DK single entry, your favorite game to stack?
I think it's Milwaukee Lakers.
Okay. Sean says, hey, Roth, what's the weather for all the outdoor parks Thursday? You should know that I've already done this. All of the Northeast games being, there's a game in New York, there's a game in Philly, there's a game in Baltimore. It's like 50 degrees and raining. So it is super shitty hitting weather. Don't play hitters in any of the Northeast games. Do play hitters in Kansas City. You can play hitters out west, but that's pretty much the main forecast. It's 50 degrees and raining in all of the Northeast games. I don't know if they're going to play or not. Hopefully I can figure that out, but it's not a great opening day. I'll tell you that. Billy Magliani says, Ice DK single entry, is Connaughton viable with PBEV out?
3,300. No, I don't think so.
All right. Just a general question, as I'm curious, from Cleveland Picker. Tim, do you approach single entry as a cash build or a tournament approach? Your thoughts? It's like
it's a combination of the two.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be playing some chalk and single entry, and then I get off of what I consider to be fragile chalk or chalk that isn't showing up in optimals very high. So that's what I tend to do in single entries.
Okay. Very good. Hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit us with the thumbs up. It's down at the bottom. There's a little thumbs up. You push it, and then more people see it, and we can keep the show free. So make sure you're doing that. Jump in to the old Discord here. We got some more questions coming in. FanDuel single entry, both guys, the game you are most underweight on of the four. That's a cool question. Tim, game you have the least exposure to.
It's Dallas, Sacramento. That might be horrible. It might be good. I don't know.
Ice.
I think it's Golden State, Miami for me.
Okay. But yeah, and there's some pieces there you like as well.
Yeah, there are, but I think I'm more heavier. Like Miami is the team I'm most underweight on, I think.
Okay. Let's see. FanDuel cash question, Tim, 3v3. Rozier, Rui, Bam, or Mills, AD, and Joval?
The first one.
Okay. Montero says, which top dollar guy is optimal? It's AD, right? AD is like the optimal spend up, right? Is that correct?
I believe so, yes. Yes.
Yeah, he's the dude. FanDuel GPP, Ice, Monk, and Brolo, or GTA, Jose, and Chet? I don't know
Alvarado.
what that means.
Grand Theft Alvarado is his nickname.
Jesus. Because he steals. Okay, I like it.
Who was with him in that second one?
It was Chet.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Okay. Pick one FanDuel single entry. Tim, Jaquez, PJ Washington, or Rui?
Hawkes, definitely.
Okay. FanDuel GPP, Ice, PJ, and Sabonis, or Gafford Zion?
Gafford Zion.
Jay Sam says, at Kevin Roth, if Vegas set the line of Meansy appearing on a show before season end at 0.5, what are the chances the over cashes? If you mean before basketball, it's 0. He ain't showing up. I'll tell you that. He's done with us. What else? Gregorius, DKGPP, last piece, Jovic or Alvarado? Tim, Jovic or Alvarado?
For cash?
It was DKGPP actually. I maybe should have given.
Yeah, I think it's Alvarado.
Okay. Blink 182, large field DKGPP. What are your thoughts on Caleb Martin?
If he fits, he's fine. He's not a guy I'm seeking to be overweight on or anything like that, but the salary is useful.
Okay. Let's see. More QQs. There's a surprising amount of questions coming in. You guys are doing a good job here. We got 6 minutes until lock. I think we're going to make it. Shane says 2v2 Ice, Keon Ellis, and Rui, or DeLon Wright and Middleton. It is a DK single entry GPP.
Yeah, I mean, if you're good with the risk, I do really like the first one. Ellis could get you like 12 points, but he could also get you 40.
Okay. DK single entry, Ice, back to you. Dort or Nance?
Nance for me.
J3 says, can Iceman let me know how many minutes exactly Duarte is playing tonight?
Exactly.
No range.
No.
We want exact.
12 and a half minutes.
Oh, very nice. Okay. So few enough that you are not interested, I assume.
I mean, if Luka was out, maybe you could play a blowout angle where he gets a little bit more run. He has seen games where he sees a spike. He's been up to 19 a couple of times here recently. I think he was asking me because the range is all over the place. Like sometimes he gets run, sometimes he doesn't. I don't know. I don't have a lean on whether this is a 20-minute Duarte night.
Okay, fair enough. If you had to pick one warrior to play in single entry in a DK GPP, Tim, who would be your one warrior?
I think it would be Clay or Looney.
Okay. Vincent DeMarkey, and I don't really understand this question, but I'm just going to read it. Ice, any Dayron fix? Is that a person?
No.
Are we fixing a man named Dayron, or is there a man named Dayron fix? I don't know. It might have been a typo. We'll see. Try to get that one back in there. Let's see.
De'Aaron Fox is who that is.
Oh, De'Aaron Fox. Nice. Good analysis there. Any Any De'Aaron Fox?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I like him.
All right. That was good work figuring that one out. That was like trying to solve one of Dean's movie clues there. Let's see. What is the 2v2 if Luka sits? Do you guys have a specific 2v2?
I didn't do it exact. I'm okay leaving like up to 600 on the table, so I didn't figure out the exact like 2v2, but like I assume you're going down to Kyrie, and like Keon Ellis would be very useful to use in that situation. I think living in like the Malik Monk, Keegan Murray, PJ Washington range would be very useful as well. So if you start with like Luka and PJ, then you can get down to Kyrie and up to like a Gafford or a Monk potentially. I don't know that's exact salary, but it's close. It's in the range.
Okay, great. About 3 minutes here until lock. Brian says, Tim, how many players shall I play on the Lakers and Bucks?
I'd say no more than 4, maybe 3.
Okay. Ice, Gafford, or Rui, DKGPP?
I like them both. Give me Gafford.
Okay. Anthony says, can you rank Bam, Chet, and Gafford? Tim, I'll let you rank them. Bam, Chet, and Gafford.
I'd go right in that order. If ownership is not considered, because Chet's a really good pivot off of Bam, but Bam is better in a vacuum.
Gotcha. Beaner says, Wright or Patty in a FanDuel GPP? Wright or Patty? Ice?
Yeah, it's a slight lean to right, but it's not much conviction behind it.
Yeah, not pretty on either end there. Jay Sam says, is it fair to think they may sit Luka, being that they play Sacramento again on Friday? I mean, we think we're not really of that mindset, but sure. Right. I feel like you guys.
I'm not of that mindset.
Yeah,
they're
trying to win.
Yeah,
they're trying
that's
to
the bottom line. Yeah, they're just trying to straight up win. They do not want to fall into the play-in spots here. What do we got here? FanDuel GPP, Ice, Martin, or Marshall? Less than 2 minutes until lock. Holy hell, we've done it.
Martin there.
Very good. Is Beasley good on FanDuel, Tim? Any bees? Is he the bee's knees?
He's okay, but I don't love it.
Yeah. Our guy Butho Jenkins says Terry Rozier will be a sneaky 43-point DK score tonight. Ice, you get any scary Terry?
Yeah, I think he's a really solid play. It wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think he'll be that sneaky.
No, I do agree with that.
Okay. Mr. Irrelevant, in a large field GPP, Ice, I'm playing Sabonis and Luka if he plays, but it means I have to use Alvarado and Mills. Is that too gross?
I think it's viable.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. You'll need 80 burgers from like Sabonis and Luka, but that can happen. Like that is a thing that can happen. What do we got? A few more questions. Less than a minute until lock. Make sure you get those lineups and make sure you hit us with the thumbs up. DKGPP, Tim, I'm coming to you here. Jaquez, Clay, and Keegan Murray together in a single entry GPP.
I think it's all right.
Okay. Tim, Yahoo Cash question. Bam Zion or Dinwiddie AD?
Yeah, those are both really, really good. I think I'd go Dinwiddie AD, but they're both good.
Okay. J3 just saying, hey, great show. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Happy Taco Tuesday, he mentions. Happy Taco Tuesday to you as well. Harrison Barnes revenge narrative. He is the least vengeful man. We have been doing Harrison Barnes revenge narratives for as long as I can remember on this show, and it has never once panned out. It is never, ever has it ever worked. No. The answer's no. Hey, with that, we hit the lock. We've got golf content coming on right now, so we got to bounce on out of here. For Tim, for Ice, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been